Welcome to the Rebel Love Show. I am Rob Mathias.
And I am Joel Valenzuela.
And today we have a special Epic guest here today, none other than JJ Epic.
Hey, thanks guys. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
All right. So JJ,
Yes.
this is kind of you because you're leaving us.
That's right. I am. After roughly 6 years in New Hampshire, 6.5 years, I am taking a long break to visit family and just get away from it all, basically, and relax. I think that's a big thing. So.
Well, it seems like anyone around here that does need a vacation a lot since you've been here.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, well, what I really want to know is, rumor has it you're from Wisconsin.
That's right. I originally moved here from Wisconsin.
You hail from the
2007.
barren wasteland that is Wisconsin.
The barren,
Of
fruitful
dairy
plains
farms.
of cows and horses.
So,
True story. Whenever I drive past a cow, I moo at. It's just a habit.
Have you ever gone cow tipping?
No.
That's kind of a shocking thing from being from Wisconsin.
I'm a city boy. I'm from Milwaukee.
Oh.
yeah, so you weren't always, you might have always been a shade of Epic, which could be, by the way, that should definitely be the title of your memoir whenever that comes
that's
out.
a
Shade
good
of
one.
Epic.
I like that.
Yeah. So you were probably always a shade of Epic, but where were you before you came out at the ripe young age of 29 from Wisconsin
That's right.
to be a flipping crazy activist out here? What was the previous iteration of the Jagers?
The Jagers, that would be a bassist in a metal band, as well as a singer. And
Did that pay the bills?
No, the band was just for fun. And it was actually a really fun experience. My brother was the drummer, and my best friend since kindergarten was the lead guitarist and singer, and his brother was the other guitarist. So it was a family band. It was very cool. But I was involved in manufacturing. So I was a CNC repair tech. And I would repair CNC machines as well as pretty much any other machine, and work for a variety of different companies to do that.
It sounds like a party. Now, rumor has it that, like a lot of great people in this movement, you were once part of the military-industrial complex.
That's
Maybe
right.
once, not
You were part of the
twice,
state.
or 3 times. Not a lady, but whatever you want to call
Well,
that.
I'm slightly different in that I was in the Wisconsin Army National Guard, so I wasn't working active duty with the United States military. It's more working with the Wisconsin militia, if you will, and then of course there are ties to the national military as well. But I also, in the course of my work, being a defense contractor is typically part of the job. Once you get to the upper echelons of manufacturing skill levels, pretty much the only people who need those high quality products are either medical or military applications. So it's hard to get away from that.
How long did you do that?
I've been involved in manufacturing, repair, on and off for about 12 years now. So I definitely have a good skill set that I can take anywhere and just get a job fixing whatever, machines, anything.
Now, as a guardsman, how long was that?
I was in the Guards for about 6 years.
Almost. That's like more than half of Mike Ruff's legendary 10 years in the Army that he won't shut up about.
Well, he did a lot of stuff, and he's proud of it. But the Guard, I think I didn't end up killing anyone, so I benefited solely from the training, the confidence, the toughness, just knowing how to shoot a gun, how to
The
move
rock hard
tactically.
abs.
Well, yeah, that too, but that's more genetic.
All right, so the thing is, a lot of us move out here. We all move out for roughly the same ideological reason to a certain extent. It's because taxation is theft.
That's right.
Right.
That's the phrase of the day.
Yes, taxation is theft.
Everyone
Phrase
takes a
of every
drink now.
day.
Everyone has to take a drink if you're listening to this.
Taxation is theft.
Yeah, Star Wars. Yeah, mug.
But we all have personal reasons of why that mattered so much to us, or more importantly,
There you go. Right
Yeah,
there you
wait,
go.
where is
hit it,
Is
hit
this
it.
one? No, this one.
Oh, there we go, right there. All right, so we all had personal things that contributed to our personal apocalypse, our personal whatever you want to call it.
Enlightenment, evolution.
Yeah, what woke
Development.
you up?
Ron Paul.
Ron
Paul.
I was actually the meetup organizer for all of Milwaukee and in Wisconsin in 2007, and we had about 160 people not showing up, but in this meetup group back when meetups were just starting and getting going. And I inherited the lead position after the last person dropped out for whatever reason. and I would create tons of events. I literally went from not caring about politics at all, completely apathetic, to Ron Paul Republican in the space of a few weeks due to the Ron Paul campaign. I then activated as an activist and said, this is what I need to do. I started attending the meetup, then I started leading the meetup, and then I started realizing that people weren't coming out. So we had 160 some odd people in the group, and if we could get 3 or 4 people to show up, that was a big day. So it was very frustrating, and I saw what was going on here in New Hampshire on the Ridley Report and some of those sorts of videos, as well as actually I heard first through Free Talk Live, and then I did some searching and came to it through the Free Talk Live, and basically it was like, I have to go there because there's people there that are actually doing something. They're not just talking, they're not just sitting on their computers, they're actually getting out and doing things. And so I decided to move here. I heard about the Free State Project. I moved 6 weeks later in order to get here in time to vote for Ron Paul in the New Hampshire primary. And I did that, and then I quickly became what you would call an anarchist after living with some very prominent anarchists who are no longer in the state at the moment, but who helped make Keene what it is back in the early days.
In the heyday?
Yeah. So as an anarchist, what is taxation?
Well, taxation is a fiction. It's words on paper, and there are men who believe those words are very righteous. And
You were supposed to say theft.
They don some garb. The garb has changed over the years. It used to be sort of like a crusader-ish garb, but now it's more of a policeman's garb.
It's turning into a military garb.
It's the same religion that's been around for thousands of years. It's just taken on a different form.
Yeah. Now.
That's not the answer you were looking for.
Hey, I'm not looking for answers. I already found all the answers I need here in the Free State. You're on the show just because we want to talk. And now, as part of that whole talking thing, there's a lot of people who intellectually they care about liberty and they want to do their best in their little worlds. But it's a big move to come out here to dump it all behind and just come here join for an idea. A bunch of crazy activists, maybe not even a bunch of crazy activists, seeing how early you moved out. It takes a certain kind of person and a certain kind of place and time to care enough to not just be like, I'm just going to keep playing bass in my band and singing, manufacturing, and then just vote for Ron Paul where I'm at and talk about Ron Paul. Like, wow, what contributed to the man that would move out for that? Well, how'd that happen?
Well, from my own personal experience, I just realized, I think Ron Paul really struck a nerve within me. I think I was always like libertarian minded. I just didn't have a word for it because I just didn't care enough to look for it. The political parties, the R and the D, I didn't feel like I aligned with any of that. I felt like what was going on with government was just a big mess that I didn't even want to be involved with. So but you're right that a lot of the people that come out here, especially early on, are the pioneers, the leaders, the people who have a true believer sense. And that's not to say that they're not skeptical still, because they have the roots of skepticism that led them to find liberty and not just accept the status quo. Yeah. And so yes, that's part of, for me, it was definitely a calling and a life purpose. And so I guess that's what I would call it, and I felt like this is what I have to do. So I did it, and it's been a wonderful journey.
Yeah.
What's since you've been here, you've done a lot. You've been manager of both the CAC and the Quill. But what were some things you did before those two places that you were at?
Well, for the first 3 years roughly, I worked in manufacturing in Keene. I built some of the most precise machines in the world as in manufacturing, both supporting the medical as well as military industrial complex. It was a very strange job in that I describe it as the machines are laid out in bays, basically like you would build a car next to each other. There's all these cars or machines being built, and so in this bay right here is a machine that would make new hip joints, and then this bay over here there's a machine that would make contact lenses, and then this bay over here is a machine that does guided missile systems. So it's like you're helping the world and hurting the world. all
Yeah.
in the same exact job, and it's a very strange mix of emotions and thoughts about that sort of stuff. But I also,
What kind of activism were you involved in before?
most of the activism I did was sort of the don't take the plea type stuff. There wasn't a whole lot going on as far as civ dis. There was some here and there, but that didn't pick up until after I had quit that job and started other pursuits. I actually started the Free Keene Press, which is a newspaper version of freekeene.com's blog, and we circulated that around New Hampshire with the help of Russell and Kat Canning, and it just sort of was a way to communicate with the locals as to what's going on. So I did that, and then shortly thereafter, I started managing the CAC, as well as starting Free Keene TV, which is the live TV news show that we recorded out at Cheshire County, or Cheshire TV Studios in Keene. And I also started being a co-host on Free Talk Live. So that was sort of a big turning point. I sort of got fed up after 2.5 years or so of working and being in New Hampshire. The job, sure, it paid well, and I could do whatever I wanted. I had money, and it was a good time. But I came here to do activism, so I decided to quit working full time and start activism full time. And I had to find some means of doing that, managing the club in Keene, the Keene Activity Center or Keene Activist Center, depending on which version they're going by. That was the best sort of form of activism that I think I could do, and it allowed me to learn a new skill set in the service industry, sort of management, as well as community. I don't know if you want to say community leader, but the person that.
Well, let's use the dirty word, community organizer.
Community organizer. There you go.
You're the Barack Obama of the Free State Project.
Something like that. Yeah, I guess so. But more so, it was just more about caring about these individuals. You know, it's a voluntary family to a degree. You're choosing to voluntarily associate yourself with this person for all this time, every day or every other day, and pretty much live in close proximity with this person and carrying out various projects and plans and activism. So it was a very rewarding experience. But soon after that, I moved to Manchester. I took a little time off to sort of recover, because being in that role is really energy intensive as far as you're outputting a lot of energy. And so after a while, I moved to Manchester. I did a couple little projects here and there. I think my favorite one was to direct Gary Johnson for a video. We made an advertisement where, and so it's a pleasure to work with him and meet him, and it was, you know, a good time. And then I started managing the Quill. Before that, I also started a project called Free State Now with Will.
Well, I remember when that was there. I was trying to get on board with that whole thing. I remember that time.
And that was definitely
You came up with Trigger the Move, right?
yeah, that was pretty much, yeah. I think I was the brainchild behind that, but you know, it's just like anything. We all put ideas out there, and everyone can take them and run and make the best of them.
Speaking of Trigger the Move, anyone wants to trigger the move buttons?
There's Trigger the Move
There's
buttons.
Trigger the Move buttons. JJ's got them.
Yeah. Well, here
It's
I brought
violence,
some
man.
for the
It has the crosshairs on it.
Yeah.
And
Trigger is a representative of violence that the state uses. I'm not comfortable holding this anymore.
Trigger is also a programming trigger a certain action. You're
Okay,
looking
now
for
that's okay.
an
Then.
if-then statement. It then
Yeah.
executes a trigger, basically, and the trigger then carries on that command. So that's how I see it. I see it as less of a violent thing and more of a logistical, proactive thing.
How long were you managing the CAC for?
9 months.
9 months.
What's the craziest thing? You don't have to name names. What's the craziest thing that you saw happen there
Oh, I want to
At
know
the
that
CAC.
too.
at the CAC?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to name names. There was a lot of crazy things that happened at the CAC. A gentleman at one point smoked some pubes on a bet. That was pretty disgusting. The same gentleman later on.
Same guy. It's got to be the same guy.
Same guy that later on consumed some urine. I believe it was his own urine on a bet. Those were
How
both
much was the
crazy
bet?
incidents. I think they were both different. They were different amounts of money, and I spoke out against them. In fact, I would not allow them to happen within the confines of the establishment.
No pubes smoking in my
No,
backyard.
That's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
Were it his pubes or someone else's
Someone else's
pubes?
pubes.
Oh god.
Yeah, it was very disgusting. But some of the craziest, honestly, a lot of the activism. Derek J was there. I tell people about this moment. I'm upstairs editing video for Free Keen TV, and it was sort of a I guess an assemblage of star activists. So I'm sitting in this room. Behind me, Pete Air and Adamo are both working on cop block videos. Bo Davis is there also working. Jason Talley's over here working on some Talley TV. Derek J's, in his room working on Freeman TV or some other video project. I think Allie was in the room. Allie Havens from ALP and Free Talk Live, and Ian. So it's like Ian Freeman. So it's just like all this star power. We just shared a lot of ideas. We collaborated a lot. It was really great learning experience to see how they did things and to share how I did things. And I think we all grew a lot from sharing ideas and working together. So that was definitely, I think, one of the high points. It was so productive, and that's a lot of what Keen had going for it. And I don't know today too much about Keen because I haven't been there in a while, but that was like the calling card of Keen was productivity, getting things done.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff done. A lot of the activism that happened in Keene and the Keene area was so intense. The 420 rally, smoking a joint in the police station lobby in response to arresting people at the 420 rally, was pretty much the biggest activism moment that I can recall, because that was, you don't really expect that sort of thing to happen and to get away with it. It was just impressive. I was in there at the time. I was taking pictures with my camera, like holding it above my head in this crowded lounge as the joint was being passed around. I was taking pictures for the newspaper at the time, and it was just like after that point, the police did not come to Central Square for about a year, or maybe a year and a half.
Yeah, you showed them.
For whatever reason, I guess we did. So I mean, you can chalk up whatever metric you want to determine if something's a success. I think having the police not interrupt what goes on in Central Square for a year straight, I think that's a success.
Well, for me, I mean, both of us are new movers. I've only been here since January, and I can tell you, literally, most of what comes out of the Free State Project is something that happened in Keene. Like most people think of the Free State Project outside New Hampshire. Inside New Hampshire, it's a different story, but outside New Hampshire, most people think of Free State Project, they think of activism coming out of Keene.
Yeah, and I know Ian Freeman definitely makes a point of talking to people and saying, "What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? I don't hear anything outside. I hear everything."
Well, competition is good, isn't it? I mean, isn't that your market perspective?
That's why we're here. We're bringing competition.
We're just trying to class up the joint here in Manchester,
There you go. And I'm totally behind that classing up the joint thing because I believe that's important.
Well, you always rock the three-piece suit, so you're always trying to.
Big things in my keynote from Keenvention was wear better clothing, dress nicer, present yourself better, have a better image, because it's really easy to have a good image, and then your message is just received that much better. You're that much easier to persuade someone, or to at least convince them that you're not a dirty hippie that needs to go find a job or something. So that you're removing arrows from their quiver, basically. They're not going to tell you, "Oh, go get a job," because you're dressed in a suit.
Well, I mean, it's a sad state of affairs that people look at image as something that would affect what you're saying. Well, but you're exactly right. You're trying to sell something to somebody, but you don't want to buy something from someone that doesn't looks like they might be homeless or a hippie or whatever you want to say. But if you look very professional, obviously people want to buy. They'll think like, well, he knows what he's talking about. He looks professional, so he must know what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, it also goes back to sort of taking a page out of the books that have been written before this project. For example, Martin Luther King, all of his activists were dressed to the nines, their Sunday best. They went through activist training. In fact, some of the activists for the sit-in, they were put through abusive sessions done by their own friends, their own activists, to make sure that they could handle being abused, to make sure they didn't flip out. And the activists who couldn't keep their cool didn't make the cut.
So this is confessional time now, JJ. How many people did you beat in Keene? How many people did you savagely beat in taser and pepper spray to prepare them for the rigors of fighting the Keene PD?
Jeez, I really, if I had known you were going to ask this, I probably would have done a little more research. But I'm going to have to put the figure at around 0.
I was hoping for like a big V for Vendetta kind of thing. You shave Valley Haven's
Yeah, is there
head
like
and
a
No, no.
is the basement of the CAC like some sort of like dungeon where
some
you
kink dungeon or
you
something?
can convince
No,
people to be
no,
anarchists?
it's mainly just a storage area. Really.
Okay.
There's
Now,
really nothing. It's a really nasty, dirty basement. You wouldn't really want to do anything down there, to be honest, unless they've cleaned it up or something. But back then,
wait, so is it too nasty and dirty to torture people? That must be really bad.
I mean, I wouldn't torture people. So I guess
Fair
I'm
enough.
not the person to answer that question.
Now, you mentioned about what's the craziest thing that's happened at the Quill? Because
At
I'm
the
sure that's a
Quill.
completely different animal right there.
Yeah, I mean, oh geez, it is a completely different animal. Like I said, in Keene, there was a lot of focus on people working together and just sort of increasing skills. That's why you saw a lot of activism, because it was promoted. That's what we do. And so at the Quill, though, it's more of a casual environment. Well, there is some plotting and scheming. It's more of a social hangout situation. So I guess there's been some crazy parties. It's been good times. I guess I don't really have one thing to point to and say, well, this is the moment that was craziest.
Any moment that just really stands out. I have a few in my short time here that I can probably point out, but I'm sure you could top that.
Well, I think it probably involves Joe in a carrot suit, or maybe my podcast co-host Darren topless. When
He
when that
enjoys being
situation
topless.
happens, it's usually things getting pretty wild. So uh, that's what I'd go with.
Yeah, do you remember that time before they imposed the moratorium on sleeping overnight on the couches?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, I remember that too. I remember when because I used to live upstairs in the Quill, and so I'd come downstairs, see what's up. It'd be like 8, 9 in the morning, and it would look like, someone had gassed the place because there's like these corpses lying all over the place, just bodies
Yes.
all over, strewn
Flop
here
house.
and there. And then now that doesn't really happen quite so much anymore.
Well, I think it was definitely something that I got feedback from members, and I had a discussion with the owners. But it was definitely something that I wanted to see. And as the manager, of course, I can sort of make that happen. But the difficulty is that it's a 24/7 club, so people can be there whenever they want. The issue is them sleeping overnight, and sometimes overnight doesn't start until 5 a.m. So then someone crashed there from 5 till noon or whatever, and a lot of the people doing this are paying members. So
Yeah.
I on one hand, I don't want to look like a flop house and to be a place where people just crash and get just so messed up that they can't go home. On the other hand, I don't want to put my members out on the street when they're intoxicated and not in any condition to either drive or even walk. So it's a difficult situation.
Yeah, no, I have it on the highest authority of one of the co-owners of the Quill that you might have done the job so well that I'm embellishing, by the way. You might have done the job so well that there certainly will never be another JJ Epic, but there will also maybe never be another manager of the Quill. That's what I heard tonight.
Well, I don't have any, I'm really not concerned with that. I'm personally more concerned with my personal journey and making sure that I take and apply this time off appropriately so that I can, recuperate and recover and evolve as quickly as possible.
Where do you think your personal journey will lead you,
Well,
Wisconsin.
besides Wisconsin?
Well, I think the main place it's going to lead me is deeper inside, a deeper understanding of myself, and the deeper understanding of what I want out of life and how I'm going to achieve that and what skills I have. I think it's going to be a time of self-reflection, and while I will travel distances, certainly physically, I think the greater journey is internal.
Now, we had a conversation at the Quill a couple months ago about how this place changes you when you get here.
That's right.
And it was a great conversation. I took it to heart, and I really feel like, since I've been here, I feel like I've been here for over a year. I don't even feel like I've been here just a few months, and I do feel changed as it is. Like everything about me, like my confidence level, everything. Like I've changed you. I mean, you've been here 6 years, so how is living here changed you?
It's it's changed me dramatically. The confidence you'd speak of and the understanding. I think it's a great incubation chamber for individuals. You come here and you receive so much support, so much camaraderie and love and kinship with other activists, and you get to pick and choose. Obviously, there's so many people here, and you're left with a decision of how I'm going to allocate my time and who am I going to spend this time with. And there's just so much competition for which personalities work with yours or what interests work with yours. But I think the biggest point is that I think I've changed so vastly from the person that I was to the person that I am, that it's a night and day difference. When I go back home, and I've went home twice in the last 7 years roughly, and it's just a different place. It's like I'm watching a moment in time. My friends, my family members, I go back and I see where they are, and they're kind of in the same point that they were when I left. Maybe they have a different wife now or a new kid, but their life is pretty much the exact same thing.
Yeah,
they're doing
the same person.
same job, having the same hobbies, and all that. And I can see, at those points, I can see how much further ahead I am than where I would have been. I think, if I would have been caught in that same sort of pattern of just going around in circles, whereas coming here has allowed me to explore a lot of different areas. In fact, I came here with my manufacturing skill base, and that allowed me to find work really easily. But I in the course of being here, I learned a lot of new skill sets, whether it's management, dealing with people, personalities, de-escalation, dealing with police, dealing with just the ideas and understanding of individual sovereignty or individual self-ownership, whatever you want to call it. The idea is that the state is this edifice of fiction that's really benefits very few people, and all of it. So it's a person moving here is what I've said to you, and probably Joelle too, is just the 6 months thing. I've seen so many new people come here, and then after 6 months, they're a different person. They've grown and they've changed.
It's been my 6 months. How have I changed other than losing my hair?
Joelle, well, you've got a podcast here, the Rebel Love Show. You've been doing a bunch of different activism. You're doing a lot of Bitcoin stuff around town to talk to people and try to get them to accept Bitcoin. You made a lot of friends, I'm sure, and had a lot of good times. But I think that's a question you'd ask yourself. Ultimately, I can only judge so much. I can only judge the externals, but to really see your change, it happens mostly internally. It happens with your own mind and your own spirit, if you will, your will, your energy, whatever you want to call that, the other component. And you, as I say to everyone, you choose who you're going to be in 6 months. You're going to choose how you evolve based on your choices, based on who you interact with, how you interact, what activism you do, what you don't do, how much you party. All of this is going to influence how much you're going to change, where you're going to change, and it's an opportunity really for people to come here and to, the way I saw it, the way that I still see it, is that I wanted to improve certain things about myself, and this is sort of a clean start. It's a way to fix some of the old problems that I didn't like, the old habits, break the old habits and start new habits, more healthy habits, more productive and positive habits. And it's definitely given me that ability, that time and energy that I needed to make that happen, and the guidance that came from good friends and people who were very wise.
Now, activism is a very intensive profession. Talk about burnout.
Oh yeah, burnout happens. It's one of those things where most activism you do is unsustainable, in that you are exporting more energy or resources than you have incoming, than you're importing. You're putting out more than you're getting in, so it's unsustainable. And anything that happens that's unsustainable will lead to either burnout or failure or something else. So a lot of the activism,
Death.
yeah, that too. Life is unsustainable. No, I don't know about that. I think a lot of the activism is very, like you said, very intense, but it's also you're not getting paid. You're really, other than the attaboy and the pat on the back from your friends and people, your meager donations you're going to get aren't going to pay for really anything. And there isn't any real money or resources to be made. The only resources that really matter would have to be social capital, and that is one benefit. So some people refer to it as street cred. Some people refer to it as reputation. I think those are different things, different aspects. I think social capital is just the umbrella term to describe your ability to influence and persuade others simply based on their history of you, their understanding of you, their knowledge of you. So
Also, you pay it forward, and some people see the great victories you win for the cause of liberty and peace and freedom and all those kinds of things, and then they're willing to do things or stand behind you in bad times or whatever other ventures you're doing.
sure, you do have that too. The support network here is incredible, which allows people to do some of this more tedious and dangerous or difficult activism. When you have other people supporting you and knowing that when you're in jail or you're being harassed, there's a bunch of your buddies that are either going to film the cops, they're going to show up at the jail, they're going to visit you, they're going to go to your court case. Every step of the way, you're going to be supported, and that allows people a certain amount of inspiration and courage.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're alone here.
Exactly.
Like I wouldn't videotape a cop if I was back home. There's no way I would do it because I know there wouldn't be anyone there to go to the police station to bail me out or anything like that. Maybe friends and stuff like that, but not like here. Go to my court hearing and protest that and film that or whatnot. And on top of that, like I know there wouldn't be someone else filming me as I'm filming them or whatnot. There wouldn't be more of accountability or anything like that.
Yeah, it's very important, and that's a big selling point for what's going on here. I think the Keene phenomenon about 2 or 3 years ago, probably about 4 years ago, that was what got us so many movers and activated so many locals, was just that support.
That's something that obviously there's people within the Free State Project that aren't supportive of civil disobedience and free Keeniacs and whatnot. But to me, whenever you're doing kind of activism anywhere else, you have one objective to change the status quo. But here you have two. You have the objective to change status quo, but you're inspiring people to come here. And the heyday of Keene and even what's going on in Keene now, they're doing that. They're inspiring people to move. Because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for podcasts and YouTube videos. I'll be honest. Like that's why I came here, because I was seeing this happening, I was hearing this happening, and I had to come here because I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, and to add to that, like I've stepped into different student groups around the country to talk about the Free State Project and how awesome it is, and I've gotten some questions from the young folk. A lot of them are about Keene. They're like, I hear there's guys that go around filming meter maids and putting coins in meters and stuff. Is that true? I'm like, yes, my child. The legends are true.
Yeah, good stuff, all of it. But what I was going to ask is both of you. You're both new, and what are you? Do you have any goals for like the next six months to a year?
6 months. Well,
oh yeah, you go first.
I want. I don't know, man. I don't know. Do we really want to talk that much shit on the air, or?
I mean, you don't have to. You can just generalize. You don't have to.
I want us to be.
You don't need to be specific in relation to other people.
I want to inspire as many people to move here as what Keene did in its heyday. That's my goal within a year.
Yeah.
I want to see, thousands of people move on top of what I've already seen. Whether I inspire or just seeing other people move, I want to help inspire people to live this lifestyle.
Yeah. I would definitely, within 6 months, want to see, when you talk about Keene, it's not about the town, it's about what's happening there. When you talk about Keene, it's like you're talking about Ian Freeman and his little empire there. And what I want people to talk about Manchester. I want to be big enough where people talk about, they're Keene this and Manchester does that.
I want people to know the story of the people that live here. Because, outside of New Hampshire, no one knows that much about Manchester. They don't really know anything about what's going on here. I used to, when I was making the move, I had multiple people messaging me on Facebook like, "Oh, we got a job in Keene. Where you're gonna." And no, I'm moving to Manchester. There's more people there in Manchester. No one knows the story here, and the people here, the life that everyone's living and whatnot. Like one thing, like the basis really of this show is more so just to talk about the culture than anything else. I mean, yeah, we'll talk about like some sort of activism that's going on and
And
stuff
how
like that.
taxation is theft.
Yeah, let's not forget about that.
But I mean, it's really just about the culture, and it's something that a lot of people don't really get by just watching a YouTube video or seeing a speech on, or listening to some other podcasts and stuff like that. But that's my goal, is really just to show people what life is like here and why you should come, because the life here is so unique compared to anything else in the world.
Yeah, say that again.
I think one of the big selling points for that, then, of course, the community is the selling point. The
Yes.
fact that, as I mentioned earlier, the social life you have wherever you're at, if it's not New Hampshire, is probably very small. You're probably in a very close-knit circle of friends. You probably have a couple people you can talk to about liberty-type stuff and bitch and moan about the government, too. The rest of the people don't understand you. They don't get you. And you don't really want to spend your time with them. And so that's why you should move here. Because when you move here, you're going to have a whole array of people that you don't even have to talk about government to, because they already get it. So you can talk about all the cool stuff and important stuff and fun stuff and life stuff instead. And you can have friends.
Like Dogecoin.
Dogecoin. There you go. Threw in the
Yeah.
Dogecoin.
Speaking of the Dogecoin, I've heard rumors. I know you're into that. I
Yes.
heard you
To the moon.
bought food more than once with Dogecoin.
That's right.
What's up with that?
Well, see, Daniel cooks at the club every once in a while, and I bought some of his meals with Doge. The first time I spent 10,000 Dogecoin to buy a meal.
It's a lot of Doge.
It was about $7.
Is that the first time anyone's ever bought a meal with Dogecoin?
I
Is
don't
that
know. I doubt it. I sincerely doubt it's the first time anyone. I think it's the first
Maybe
time
the
someone
fifth time?
from Daniel. I don't know. And then I bought again recently. I bought another $7 meal, and this time it was 12,000 Doge.
Oh, that price is going down.
Yeah, well.
Wow. So plummet.
So, yeah, much currency. So
So-
value.
Do you remember what was it like around here before Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin was already a thing when I came out.
Oh, everyone's talking about silver. I mean, it was just like, hey, you guys, silver. You guys take silver? 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 Hey, guys. Silver bullion? Silver rounds?
Now it's like literally every person has a Bitcoin wallet on their phone. If they don't, there's something wrong with them.
If they don't, they're a chump.
They're show. Right. Okay. Yeah, no, I get it. But silver's still out there.
Did it ever reach that kind of integration where anyone in the community, basically, with very few notable exceptions, you could just be like, here, can I pay in silver?
There weren't many things, no.
I had a libertarian / anarchist wet dream with silver and Bitcoin when my second day here. My second day here, I went to Keene to go buy my car Bitcoin from Daryl and whatnot.
You talk about like it ain't no thing, but yeah.
First car in New Hampshire Bitcoin, yeah. And
Whoa.
we went up to the Corner News, and they sell Sons of Liberty mint silver. And they accept Bitcoin at retail. I've never used Bitcoin at retail, and I've never bought silver. So my first silver purchase and my first Bitcoin purchase was at the same time
You use Bitcoin.
to buy silver at
Okay.
retail.
Right. Wow.
Yeah,
That's a win right there.
yeah.
Only in Keene.
Only in Keene could that happen. Yeah.
Wow.
It could happen here, too, and it will happen
So
here,
crypto.
too.
Such currency.
So what's going on in with your show NeoCash? You're still gonna be doing that?
Yeah,
You're
I'll be
moving?
doing NeoCash from the road with Darren, and just sort of as I go along, talk to people. I don't really plan on doing much activism, but other than currencies. So as I go along and I travel, I'm going to interact with people and maybe give them some info about Bitcoin or did the Doge.
Yeah, you had talked about how you might be like going to conventions talking about Doge.
Well, I wanted to try to find the time to work with some of the community members, some of the Reddit community members, and basically help the PR aspect of Doge. But lately, my life has just been kind of chaotic as I'm, going through these recent changes. So I don't have as much time to spend on that as I'd like. But as I leave and find some time to do these sort of things, I think I'm definitely going to refocus my activism on cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, no, why now? About your whole great adventure. Like, why did the stars align so now is the time to do it?
Well, I've finished 2 different jobs about the same time. It's still affordable, inexpensive, and not too difficult to travel across the country. Who knows how things are going to be in a year? There's the police state is ever encroaching. So I wanted to take advantage of this opportunity of just the jobs aligning and just go and see family. I haven't seen some of the family in a while. In fact, I haven't visited
Mm.
my dad at his place since I've been here. So it was just time. I've had this wanderlust for a while because I'm just a person who thrives on change. So I don't like sitting still for too long.
Well, that
I
makes
just got to do
sense.
my thing, and I don't really need people to understand it. I
No, yeah,
understand it.
go live your life,
Yeah,
man.
I
Just come back at some point.
yeah. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'll come by, at least visit. I don't know. I want to be ambiguous just because I don't like being committal.
Yeah, you don't like engaging into voluntary contracts that you're not willing to honor.
That's
True,
right.
true anarchist. The road thing. We all come here,
Yes.
and this is we all come here. This is a sort of. I view this place as a little bit of a superhero training camp. We all come here. We do great things. All of us in groups. We fight the state in ways that could only happen here, and use the alternative currencies, alternative economy. We have all this public speaking and podcasting and media, all this kind of stuff. We're professional badasses here in our own little way, if I do say so myself. Now,
Yeah, brush that dirt off.
now, how does that feel going on the road? It's like you're that Ronin, that masterless samurai hitting the road, walking out,
Yeah.
and then now you can just walk. You could walk out into some town and just be like, dude, there's a cop there, and it's like, oh, what are we gonna do? I got this. And then, there we go. Old West music starts pull. You pull the camera from your holster, and
Yeah.
it's like, I'm being detained, and you just jump into superhero mode. How
No.
does that feel? That like, are you gonna ever feel like you're that one guy who knows that
I
one
mean,
badass superhero traveling among mere mortals out there in the human world?
you definitely once you see things, you can't unsee the truth.
You
That sort
can't.
of slant. You look at the world different. You have a different worldview. You have a different understanding of what's going on, and really, it's because you have an understanding that is in place, so you know why they're doing what they're doing, and I think, yeah, I mean, I am a very confident person, and I do believe I've learned quite a few things. I have much more to left to learn, of course, but yeah, I think I'm not really inclined to just go randomly cop blocking. You know what I'm saying? Because I think with the reason it's so successful here and easy to do here is because of that support network. And you
Yeah, it's
see
a lot more
you see
dangerous to do
people
it without
outside
that.
cop blocking and whatnot, and they're getting thrown in cages for just because they're challenging authority. I think it's not fair, but that's the truth. And I would be, you know, traveling about confident, but I kind of don't want to I don't want to engage. I'd rather turn the other way and just go back to the shadows and just. That's the thing is like every time you engage with the state, you're not wasting resources. You are potentially wasting resources, right? I mean, this
Yeah.
this interaction it could yield nothing. Maybe some video, but even then, what's the video worth? You just went through this harassment, and so maybe you went in a cage. Is the video worth your time in a cage? Are you really going to change the world with this video? I doubt it. I doubt you're really going to do a whole lot. I think it's wasting your time. I think there are times and places to challenge the state. You need to pick that. You need to pick the time and place where you are strong and the state is weak, wherever that is. He shouldn't just be foolishly trying to get arrested. That's just stupid. And it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I see a sort of trial by fire thing going on here. A lot of people I know on my drive up here, I stayed with Derek J in Philly, and his exile from pushing the boundaries of his activism here in New Hampshire and paying a little bit of a price. And he's going to be coming back to the Shire next month. And I had a long talk with him, and he was talking about all the things he did. And he said he was young and stupid, but he's learned, he's become a man, he's, through the trial by fire. And my big theory, I'd call New Hampshire Free State 1, because there's more that I don't believe this is the one and only free state. This is just where we start. This is where we win the first victory. Mm-hmm. And then there's all these professional activists, again, yourself absolutely included among one of the old guard, who have come here and have learned firsthand how to lead the charge for liberty. And imagine what happens once it is finished in this state. Imagine all this group of elite warriors, so to speak. I love these. I love these these metaphors. Yeah, yes. I love these metaphors. So the group of elite leaders that can just disperse, and each one of them, even though we're all concentrated here, each one of us could potentially go and lead. Again, not to borrow any band name, but a minor revolution in some other place.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and there's value in what you're saying as far as how true it is.
Damn straight there's value in what I'm saying. That's why I said it.
That's right. That's great words. You did. Can we all give Joel a little golf clap here? Excellent.
Yeah, I'm doing a big one up here.
Excellent. Yeah, I don't. I have a different perspective. In fact, my vision of myself in this journey isn't the elite force. Like I'm the guy in the brown robe with a walking stick that just plods along and has what I think most important, and I think if you take anything away from this, what I've said today, this is probably the most important point. Have humility. Be a humble person. Always realize that you can learn. Always realize that you have yet more growth, more strength, and more understanding to achieve. And that's how I want to approach things. I want to say, yes, I've learned a lot. I've gained a lot. I'm much more powerful just as a being, both mind, body, and spirit, than I was when I came here. But that doesn't mean I have to stop there. Yeah. I think this experience is going to force me to grow even more, and in a much different fashion. So it's going to be very beneficial. But yes, I think you're right in that this does breed, I guess it's like you said, I said, an incubation chamber for people, for individuals, and you use the word superheroes. Well, maybe it's not superpowers so much, but yes, heroes in the sense that people are willing to take a stand for something they believe in, whether or not it's popular.
Well, just coming here is taking a stand. I mean, you're uprooting your entire life for something you believe in.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's important to note also that the Free State Project hasn't even begun yet. The move has not been triggered. The agreement is for when 20,000 people promise to move out. When that's reached, they have 5 years to move out. And everyone who's here already are people who preempted that promise. People who just came out to nothing.
Right.
Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty big balls. I mean, I'm not patting myself on the shoulder too much here, but this is something that normal humans just don't do. And for me, I mean, it was as simple as packing all my earthly belongings in the back of my Honda and just sort of driving across the country. And I'm not the first or the last person to do anything like that. But it's just the fact that I did it for a cause makes what people hear about, they're like, whoa, you did that? Man, you're hardcore and all this stuff. I don't think of myself like that, but people say that it takes a certain kind of hardcore person, dare I say, epic kind of person.
Well, it's sort of the actions you choose. Each person has it within them to choose to create a great action or an epic action or whatever you want to call it. Someone can do better and bigger and above and beyond. You have to make that choice to create that action, and sometimes it's difficult.
So here's a kind of touch on what he was talking about. Being in this community, doing what we do and all that jazz, it's not normal. I mean, the average normal person, everything we do just moving here is relate to normal people, especially because you have ties with your family. You're going back and speak with your family. Like how do you talk to them about what your life's like?
I typically don't. No.
Okay.
I mean, we go into, especially with some of my family members, it's life is good. I'm having a good time. I had this for a job. Usually, I'll talk to them about the job, the paying job I've had. This latest manufacturing job or whatever. And I might mention, oh, I've got a podcast. I told them about the TV show, and I told them about managing clubs and stuff. But I typically don't. I don't really get into that stuff because I've learned that it's not productive. They're just not on that wavelength. And so I'd rather just keep the conversation light and talking about what interests them, because I don't need them to be behind or understand what I'm doing. They understand who I am and they support me as a person. So that's all I really need. And my family has been incredibly supportive. They're the kind of family that would show up dressed in their business casual to a metal show to support me and my band. So it's like,
You're lucky.
yeah,
You're lucky because most people that come here has a lot of family issues where a lot of them don't talk to their families
I
anymore.
honestly have had a golden childhood. I can't say that anything bad ever happened. It was all good. I enjoyed high school, grade school. I did. I went to basic training between junior and senior year of high school, and while I had a terrible football season because I lost so much weight, I mean, my senior year of high school was awesome. I mean, I can't complain. Everything that I did, I just was very fortunate, and I'm grateful for it. So I've got a great set of parents and a great number of relatives, and maybe that has contributed to me being who I am. I think, when you come from a good place, you have more goodness to give. So,
Oh, well, I wish all of us had that had that kind of love and support and all that from the familial unit. But
At least you get that from the community here.
yeah, now I might have just already answered the question. Depends on how you want to answer it. But what two questions? Final two questions.
all right.
One,
Dun, dun,
what
dun.
was the hardest thing to leave behind coming here? And what's going to be the hardest thing to leave behind when you go?
Well, the hardest thing to leave behind coming here was the band. I'd been in this band with my brothers and my brother and my friends for a few years, and before that, I was always in a band. And I literally dropped out of college to be in a metal band because I just was sick of school. And so, like, giving up music, I pretty much gave it up because I just didn't have the time. I couldn't transport my instruments. I just had a small car, and I just took whatever I could fit in there. So that is a part of myself that I feel a longing to re-experience or reacquaint with, because I really enjoyed music. The other question, what would I miss? Well, it's definitely all the friends and people I care about, the people I value most. I'll miss.
Maybe even a couple people in this room.
I mean, I certainly miss hanging out with. Well, I've gotten to know Joel pretty well since I've lived with him. I'm starting to know Rob a little bit here and there, but I honestly, I think you guys included the latest batch of movers, our latest crop, whatever you want, within the last year or so,
Spawn.
have been high caliber people and people who can achieve great things that have the heart to do it, and you just sort of have to direct yourself in the right direction, and that's about it. So I think that the sky's the limit for the project right now, and the community too. Is there's so many people here that are just getting started, and then you have different waves. As sort of the people who've been here longer sort of burn out, or they sort of take a break and they sort of move to the background. The next layer is already there and ready to take on the latest challenges and overcome them in their own way and bring their own energy. I think that's the key, is that every new mover that comes here brings new ideas, brings new energy and new ways of doing things. And maybe the way we're doing things isn't as efficient or good as it could be and could be improved upon. We just don't have that person here yet who has that insight, who can see, oh, this is why you guys aren't doing so well. Maybe this one little thing, have you thought of trying to do it this way? and you're like, oh my goodness, one of those, oh geez, why didn't I think of that moments?
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll definitely miss the people. Period.
People. Well, I know we'll definitely miss you while you're gone, and we'll miss you before you're gone. At least I will. But you'll be very well missed, and thank you very much for sharing one of your last fleeting days here. I don't know how many that would be, but one of them.
Yes.
With us here at the Rebel Love Studios.
It was an honor having you on here talking about your life experiences, because a lot of people don't know what it's like living here. They just see a YouTube video or a speech. They don't know what it's like actually living here for so long.
No, it's exhilarating. But thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate it.
And where can people find your show at?
You can find out about NeoCash Radio at neocashradio.com. We usually do a podcast on Sundays and talk about cryptocurrencies, alternatives to fiat, that sort of stuff.
Okay. It's a great show if you're really into cryptocurrency or Doge, because you are Mr. Dogecoin.
I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. Doge brings the aspect of donations and tipping and brotherly love back to the forefront, where I think more people need to be generous and charitable.
Exactly.
It's a good thing.
You can find all of our content at rebelloveshow.com, facebook.com/rebelloveshow, and our YouTube channel is youtube.com/rebellove. That's it for tonight. Peace.